postdocker. I went with Times Square Church on a missions trip to Reynosa, Mexico. We go down with Rick Hagens from Harvest Evangelism, and Rick's been going down to that area of Mexico, which is along a canal on the Rio Grande, and it was a dump. And over time, my understanding is that people who came up from other parts of Mexico to find jobs didn't find jobs, and so they settled in those areas because they didn't have money to get back home. And so they're living on this really rocky area. Nothing really can grow there. The canal's polluted. And Rick Hagens started building houses, little two-room wooden houses, to replace these houses that were basically made out of broken up billboards and pallets. They're dark, there's no plumbing, there's no heating or hot water. When it rains, it might as well be raining inside. So before we get there, the family's already been selected by the pastor who's working with Harvest Evangelism in that area. And he knows the families and who's neediest and kind of who should be next in line. And when you go down, there's a family that's waiting for you, and when the team shows up, they're there and they're smiling and they're really happy, that you've come. The building of the house, though, is just one part of it. It's a big part to be able to provide a house, a decent place to live for somebody. But the other part of it, which is really cool, is that we are to connect with the people. So we walk around, we visit the houses. It's really cool because you really start to kind of get a better idea of what day-to-day life is there. Whenever a house is finished down on the canal, what we do is we write scripture on the walls to bless the house. And then Pastor Rick comes and prays and blesses the house, and Pastor Rick brings food down and he makes food for the whole community. So this time we had hot dogs and hamburgers and French fries, and it was total like American cookout. Earl and Pastor Rick had the kids gathering garbage from around in the area, and they were paying them 25 cents, the kids, to go and get the bags full of garbage, and they filled up those bags so fast. The Brick Think trips, I think, are particularly good for families because you have that practical aspect where there's some hands-on stuff you can do. Because we stay on the American side and we stay in trailers, families can keep their same routines pretty much, and they get to see the fruit of their labors at the end of the trip right there. That's really satisfying, I think. One of the highlights of the trip for me was that we got to do a medical outreach for the people of Reynosa. In places like Reynosa, where the hygiene is not the greatest and there's no running water, and there are just general health issues that we're never faced with because in this country they just pretty much don't exist. We were able to address things like, for the most part, the kids, they all have runny noses, and they communicate the childhood diseases, and some of those childhood diseases are things that we've pretty much wiped out here. We saw 168 patients, I think, in a day and a morning. So again, when people are bringing you their health needs, but they're also sharing a lot of intimate details with you. They're opening themselves up to you and sharing their lives. So not only are you ministering to them, in a practical way, but you're also sitting and listening and offering comfort. I think it's so cool because you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse, although those are sorely needed. But if you're not a doctor or a nurse, you can still help out. The team visited Sister Elba's orphanage in Reynosa, and she was, I think it's probably more than 50 girls, maybe 50 more towards 100 or whatever. And the team went over, played with the girls sang, they all sing, they play instruments. It's one-on-one. Talking to the girls through interpreters sometimes, and those people who can speak Spanish, talking to the girls and just encouraging them, just listening to them talk. And as an older sister or an older brother or a father type or whatever it is, but just listening to the girls and letting them know that people care to listen to them and hear kind of the teenage things that girls go through, or the little girls, they all run and they get hugs, and it's great stuff. This trip is particularly attractive, I think, because a lot of times people think, can't do a missions trip, too intense, I'm not ready for that, too much of a change from my usual life. The Reynosa trip, we stay in Texas. We go over the border every day to the canal. We work, we spend time with the families, and we come back. So you don't have any of the health concerns, you know, you can drink the water, things like that. I think it's a great starter trip, if you will, because as I said, you know, the hours or the schedule is not a hard one. The Johnson kids who went with us, they were awesome because when we asked them at the start of the trip, why are you going down to Mexico? And they said, because we're going to tell people about Jesus. And so they were just ready. I mean, you know, and they got down there, and of course there's a language barrier, but with kids there's really no language barrier. And so they're running around, they're playing with the kids, they're going in the little kiosks, the stores, and they're just meeting the families down there. And it's a huge witness, I think. For people who are thinking that, oh, I can't go on a missions trip, you know, I don't have a particular skill or I don't have a particular talent. You know, if you can open up your arms, you've got a talent. If you've got a pair of ears, you've got a talent. So anybody that's considering going to Mexico for the Reynosa trip, I think it's a fantastic trip. I've been telling everybody.